The first thing someone asked me before I came over here, why Nashville? Why can't you find an Australian producer? And I went back to the fella on Facebook and I said, look, I am the Australian producer. I'm the fella that is coming back here as part of a journey to a place that's meant a lot to me for a lot of reasons. First of all, a lot of the music of my youth that I listened to really came from this town. I remember first listening to some old Lefty Frizzell recordings where they were all recorded here in town with Reggie Young playing on them, and I was really inspired by them, you know. He was on his last legs, poor old Lefty Frizzell, when he recorded these things. Honky Tonk Stardust Cowboy and I'm Not That Good at Goodbyes. And those songs endeared me to him so much. I looked up all the record things with all the credits of where it was recorded, and it was a studio just down the road here where he recorded just before he died, you know. And that to me made me think to myself, as a young teenager, I've got to get there one day. Take a step away from the daily grind. Come and get a little sunshine. If you wanna feel wild and free, take a walk in my country. Lose a little time on an endless beach. Only footprints behind you. Cast your troubles in the deep blue sea and take a walk in my country. Come away on eagle's wings. Come away where the dreamtime sings. Brothers and sisters, you and me, take a walk in my country.
Yeah.
No intro, we're right into this verse.
Here we go. Ready? And 1, 2, 3.
I'm coming down old Black Mountain where the air is dark and cold. Promised love in all its glory, where you tried to steal my soul. I walked on and got the feeling of bones buried beneath my feet, and I cried for those forgotten in the blackness and the sleet. I'm coming down from old Black Mountain where the air is dark and cold. Promise love in all its glory, where you tried to steal. I think in our culture at home, we always wondered why we love to travel. Like, being a nomadic style person is something that was going to suit me regardless. I love moving around. As much as I didn't like my mum and dad breaking up, I loved going from Sydney to Grafton. You know, I felt comfortable moving in different worlds. And I think Indigenous people all would understand what I'm talking about when you get the itchy foot and you need to get somewhere. And it's been a big part of my culture for a long time. And coming over here for the first time, it was a real cleansing journey for me because I got to see the boards where people have recorded. I got to see the Country Music Hall of Fame, and part of that journey for me, which is a spiritual part of it, is that I love this music so much that I get immersed in it as soon as I get to the Country Music Hall of Fame, before I start recording, like I have this time around too. You go in there, you see the different people that have inspired you. You might see Hank Williams' D28 guitar, you might see Lefty Frizzell's boots, and whatever it takes, these people have been a part of your life for a long time, so it's a big inspiration to see that stuff. Then you bring that with you when you walk over here and you sit down with Biff and you start looking through your songs. I think you're carrying a little bit of what they did in your heart on your way through, and I love that. That's why I love coming here.
Nashville is a cathedral of music for so many artists and songwriters. It seems that everybody here has a story about coming to town with a $20 bill and a suitcase full of dreams. Since the late 1950s, when visionary Owen Bradley started setting up studios and houses on 16th and 17th Avenue South to build what is now known as Music Row, tens of thousands of dreamers have made the journey in an endeavor to be the best they can be. Nashville has a draw, a gravity like no other city on the face of this earth. An unlimited number of songs that have inspired and changed the lives of millions were created right here, a true music city. Creative people will forever make the journey here to pay homage and soak in the inspiration of the legendary artists before them.
Yeah, I've been in Nashville forever, hitchhiked to town the day after high school, and so I've had the pleasure of working with just thousands of really talented people. Occasionally someone will come through, and lucky for me, a couple of years ago, I got to meet Troy. When we did Home, I had gotten some demos of Troy's to chart up, and was listening to his voice, and you really can't fake that stuff when you're doing these work tapes. You can really tell whether somebody can sing and they haven't been tuned up or fixed. Troy had this just great sounding voice, and so when he came to town and we started recording, he's one of these guys that we start turning him up in the headphones. There are some singers that we kind of keep down in the mix just because they're not as inspiring, or maybe they rush the beat or something. But Troy's right on. His pitch is great.
Sometimes you go hear the artist live and it's like, what happened? Well, that doesn't sound like what we heard on the radio. Well, because they're really not performance artists, they can't bring it off live, and that's what Troy can certainly do. He can pick up a guitar and sit down with just a guitar or with a band, or that's the thing that impresses us about Troy. He's got a great sounding voice. He's got a style. He's got character, but he knows how to sell a song. A lot of people can sing, but they don't know how to sell the song.
Troy seemed to really know who he is, and the identity of that comes through in his songs and the passion that he sings. And he sings about, some real values that we treasure here in country music.
We're always drawn to an artist that can deliver a song and make you believe it. And he writes his own songs, has for years, and so that's a real attraction.
There are a number of Troy songs that have real Australian themes. There's stories about places that I'm not familiar with, but I can imagine them, and the images are great, and the way Troy tells the story, it kind of places you there. And that's something that we don't have as much of in country music these days. We've got a bit of partying, kind of what we were calling bro country, but Troy's songs are the human condition, situations in life that are either obstacles that you have to face and get over, or, heartache. We did a few that are fairly sad, and I know that that's not where he is in his life right now. He's a very happy guy right now, but he can deliver those kind of messages, and I know that those are songs that a lot of people need just to kind of get through their day. And he's great at that. And he's great at just having a good old party song.
He's a real artist and a real singer and a real songwriter.
His emotion and his delivery, his communicating the lyric is inspiring. And it makes all of us play that much better.
All right. Okay, so here comes the play. All right, here it comes. One, two.
Last time I saw you was in my rearview mirror. Real Valentine. And your picture dissolving, I put that on that old Your mother and I, we held it together just a little longer than we should have. You know that we both will love you forever. We just couldn't do it in the same place. I didn't want to go in the Tennessee rain, but I had to in the Tennessee rain. Be good for your mother, she's a good person. You know your dad.
I remember one day dusting off a Merle record and putting it on, and Mum was outside doing something, and it was like an old song. When you're all alone and blue, no one to tell your troubles to. Remember me, I'm the one who loves you. I remember putting it on thinking to myself, that's amazing. This is music that I love. And I've got the technology now to put it on anytime I like. Get the record out. Mum had a rule. Always wipe them down first, you know. And then I got with my cousins and we started playing guitars and we started playing Merle, we started playing some old Slim things where we all wanted to see who had the best C run. We all loved those sort of runs, you know, so we used to copy Slim quite a bit. You know, my mum would have such a diverse range of country music in her collection. Every fortnight we'd buy different artists, and we loved when Dolly Parton did a bunch of albums with Porter Wagner. We loved every one of those. Then I got into Johnny Cash, and even through the 80s, you know, Mum was still collecting a lot of music, and she'd go to John Conley and Gene Watson, all these amazing artists that are still around today. And she also went right back to Hank Williams and Slim as well, which I think was really important that we had the foundation music. But as the years went on, we discovered people like Ronnie Millsap, and then we'd get Willie Nelson's music. And so they've all had a real role to play, I think, in what shapes you as an artist, because I've grown to love them so much. And I think that time I got a chance to tour with the Highwaymen was probably one of the highlights of my life, other than the Merle tour. And because I got to see 4 people who we had on vinyl. I never thought in a million years that I'd drag a Johnny Cash record out at home and dust the dust off and put it on the player, that I'd ever get to meet him. I only thought I'd ever get as close as a record player to Johnny Cash, you know. And to see all these little tiny links between that little kid putting on that record right back then with an old song like Merle's Things, and to right through to when you're talking to Brent Mason about what to play on the next song, it's a bit of a pinch yourself moment, as far as I'm concerned. To see Brent come out and go, oh, so was that solo okay? And I'm thinking, well, everyone that he played was spectacular. As a guitar player, he's everyone's hero, you know. I remember talking to Keith Urban about him on the last record, On Home, and I said, Brent Mason is a god. And he texts back and he goes, no, he's many people's God. It's so true.
That's good.
Thank you, Brent.
Here we go. 'Cause I'm road ready, ready to go.
Had a dream of playing from town to town. Was never gonna put my guitar down. I played some banjo, played the clown, and all the miles between. The truck stop, and we got what we need. A cup of coffee and a greasy feed. We were smoking bourbon and drinking weed before and after shows. 'Cause I'm a road ready, ready to go. Got some good friends and some songs we know. Got an old car that drives real slow, but I'm
Road ready, ready to go. I'm road ready.
What really inspires me over here and what brings me over here too is that you've got your relations that have inspired you over many, many years who have since passed on too, like my nan and my pop and my uncles that have passed away. I bring them here with me. You know, this is a spiritual journey here. They are a part of it. Because I didn't have my dad around all the time, I had my Uncle Jerry and my Uncle Freddie and everyone that would encourage me. You know, when you'd sing a song, they'd say, "Gee, that sounds really good. You got to keep doing what you're doing. You know, you got to keep on the path that you're on." And I think it was due to those bits of advice. You know, Uncle Jerry said the same thing. I pulled up one day and he came to this place called the Moonee Tavern on the north coast of New South Wales to see us play. One of the last gigs he saw me play, actually. And I came off and he said, "Boy, geez, you're deadly. You really are good at what you do." And I guess that's the sort of stuff that keeps you ticking along. You know? Hard to explain. But I tell you, you carry it with you for a long time. You really do. And if it wasn't for those fellas, then I wouldn't be doing this interview, I suppose, in Nashville.
All right. 1, 2.
I remember as a child, a cowboy hat and 22, shooting rabbit and kangaroo. Put a penny on the track, wheels made for corn. Roll away without a care, big train take me there. There's just something about trains that stole my heart, sitting by the tracks at the South Station yards. That's where memories remain. There's just something about trains. Underneath the overpass, me and Jenny wagon. Well, I think the real thing that turned my life around was record players, mate, because it was the lonely times when Mum was at work, I was out of the property, you know, and I'd put the player on. And Merle Haggard to me was as good as my dad. He was like, you know, you could sit and listen to his voice all day. And obviously set me on a bit of a course because, you know, if it wasn't for that music, I probably wouldn't have come to Nashville. I wouldn't have picked up a guitar. Now, you know about the free ride that happened over here. We had the same thing in Australia. It was just Indigenous people who went throughout the country on a bus, checking out conditions to see what everyone was living like, so we knew what we had to address over there. Mm-hmm. And that was the freedom ride we had there in '65, so that was this song's about. Oh, yeah. You got the wrong coloured skin, you don't want trouble here, you see. Oh, oh, the freedom ride.
Ready? One, two,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Remember 1965, the story of the freedom ride. On a bus they rode from town to town, east to west, north to south, to get it from the horse's mouth. Those true stories on the ground. On a blazing summer's day, Charlie Perkins led the way at the public pool in Moore. Step back, said the man, you can't get in. You got the wrong colored skin. We don't want no trouble here, you see. All aboard the freedom ride, all aboard now, step inside. All aboard the freedom ride. Come and join the freedom ride. Fight for justice, fight for pride. All aboard the freedom ride.
Well, I think this town has a big spirit, you know. It takes a bit of taming too. And you've got to get here and try and breathe as much of it in as you can. If you didn't feel, as a country music artist, I guess, if you didn't feel inspired here, I don't know where you'd feel inspired, you know?
Remember 1965, the story of the freedom ride. On a bus they rode from town to town, east to west, north to south, to get it from the horse's mouth. Those true stories on the ground. On a blazing summer's day, Charlie Perkins led the way.
Ready to go, and I'm road ready.
Woo!
Oh!
No. Somebody said yeah.
We got it.
Say no. No.
You good, Ed?
One more.
One more.
One more?
Wow. Fly the friendly sky.
Oh, he really loves it.
Love it.
Yeah,
I'm road ready, ready to go. I'm road ready.
Wait a minute, that was too good.
Yeah, let's pull it back a little bit.
One more.
Mine was a little too good.